when you hear stories of women being assaulted and even killed. There are a couple of stories highlighted in the last few weeks that literally had the nation agape. Is that the word? Yes. Shocked, traumatized. A woman who was literally chopped up, a head removed.
And in fact, even Johansson Oduor was interviewed. He said for the first time
he's never seen
such a gruesome murder.
Yeah.
And what, maybe 10 days earlier?
Yep, another woman. So it's been going on. In
fact, over the last 2-3 days, someone was beheaded again in Homa Bay. Did you see that?
Oh, really?
Yeah, while she was cooking. I don't know if you've seen that story.
Oh, good Lord.
There's a lady who was found in Kiambu, maybe Ruiru.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I think we spoke about that on Friday.
Correct.
So it's getting bad.
It is getting bad. Femicide is what it's called, folks. And we're going to be talking more about that and how are there solutions inside. What are the signs of this, and what does it say about us as a nation? Joining us live in the studio is Janet Anyango. She's a deputy director at FIDA Kenya, and Julie Difu, Coalition on Violence Against Women, COVAL. Ladies, welcome to Hot 96.
Thank you so much.
Good to see you guys.
Yeah, good to see you.
Thanks for your time. I mean, these stories are harrowing. You can just imagine the families of the victims, right? Yeah. Femicide. For those who don't know what femicide is, please describe it to us.
So it's the killing of someone who you are in an intimate relationship with, and this one, of course, mainly to the female gender. And we've been really wondering and asking ourselves that why are women such an easy target? Yeah, so it's just, in my opinion, a lot of the culture, the stereotypes, the gender stereotypes that have been really propagated over the years about the female gender, and it's high time that we really come out and talk about these things. So for me, the culture of silence is really what is harming us, and we need to ask ourselves, why is it that it's becoming a norm to just harm women and get away with it? And Jeff, we are only talking about the cases that have been reported. We are only talking about the women that have actually been killed. What about the so many other women who are harmed every day in their safe spaces? Yeah, so we need to have these conversations and also see how much the government and all the other stakeholders can get into those safe spaces and ensure that women are safe. It's so sad that now, however exposed, learned, rich, wherever you are, you are not feeling safe as a woman in this country, and that's why we actually need to have these discussions. We have to. Yeah.
Julie, let me ask you this. Are the numbers on the rise? I read statistics somewhere last year, 2023, 152 women were the victims of femicide. Are these numbers on the rise?
Yes, the numbers have been on the rise. If you look at the KDH's survey of 2022, it showed like 34% of women experience physical violence. That means that 1 in 3 women in Kenya are at risk of femicide. And we're just talking about what was highlighted in that survey. Before COVID, we saw a rise in numbers as well of gender-based violence because of the confinement of women to their partners, intimate partner. So when you look at before 2024, the numbers have been on a rise. And how you can even tell this, so recently the CJ launched sexual gender-based violence courts. And why was that? The reason being that the numbers of gender-based violence have been on the rise, such that it was necessary to have specialized courts that deal with such matters. So that is just one indicator of the numbers. It's just that these cases that have been happening have just been highlighted.
Right.
So it is not to say that they have not been existing before. Now we are just learning about the case, Matara case, but of course there are many others. If I speak about Monica's case, people have been silent about it, but the case is still continuing.
You say
it's something that
money?
Yes. Something that is still happening.
Yeah, and
I'm very curious to see what the judgment will be, having that it's coming up for judgment on 26th.
And it was delayed twice, remember?
Yes. So you see, it's not something that has not been happening. It has been on the rise. the fact that we're even talking about specialized courts to handle sexual gender-based violence, it's already something that tells us something is wrong and needs to be addressed.
Do you feel like maybe, in some countries like gender-based violence gets you really stiff, punishment? Yes. Do you feel like that's maybe the way to go for our country, so that it stops people from, the perpetrators from, beginning this kind of behavior?
Yes, Nick, that is part of it. There's a concept we call due diligence. And, due diligence means that the government has a responsibility to protect, to prevent, to investigate, prosecute, and also to give penalties and adequate remedies for survivors of violence, whatever that happens. So for me, the penalties is just part of it. It's just part of it. And I know through the National Council on Administration of Justice, there is a subcommittee that is in charge of reviewing the gender-based violence laws. And for FIDA, we are privileged to be chairing that working group. We call it a working group. And part of what we are looking at is why is it that we are having penalties that are not uniform? Because we've seen, and right now there's also a discussion around what we are calling mandatory minimums in sexual violence cases. So, Nick, this will be more of response. But for me, the conversation now should be, how then do we prevent? Because we are having a lot of cases coming up every day. And just as Julie says that, yes, we can look at it positively, that finally the sensitization is getting, people are becoming aware. But for me, the main issue around reporting is, what is the safety? What is the guarantee? When you listen to the women who've come out in the Matara case, they are saying that we were really scared of retaliation. This guy knows us. Come on, he's built our trust. He knows our friends. He knows our circles. He knows our families. This guy will come for us if we come out. But now that he's finally been apprehended, it then shows you that women are not safe. And I keep telling government actors that it's high time we have safe spaces in this country, whereby when a woman has come out and finally reported her case is going on, she can be held there for a while. And when they're there, they need psychosocial support, because the kind of trauma that you go through as you go through those cases, we've supported so many survivors and even their families, and it's not easy. You need to get out of your environment, your usual environment, and just figure out your life again. It's not the easiest. When you talk about when you talk to survivors, we normally have these survivor groups, and I'm sure Julie's team also does. And when you listen to them, and we have some of them who have been brave enough to come out and share their stories, you will rethink so many things in this country.
And Matara could be released on bail.
Not could. It is his right, Jeff. It is his right.
And we're not against that, because it has already been provided in the Constitution. It's a right, so we can't go against that. Can we be serious about investigation? What are we putting up in court? You see, most of the cases fail because, one, either the investigation was not done according to you're ticking all the boxes, making sure that nothing is lacking. So basically what she's just basically saying is we need to be serious at every stage of investigation, prosecution, even at the court stage.
Don't you feel like in case you violate the rights of someone else, much as you're entitled to freedom by the Constitution, you somehow void some of your rights, and that should enable you to stay in custody? Because I feel like in America, because if the police arrest one of us here, they haven't picked you or him or Jeff. They've picked this one person because there's evidence. So you are a threat to society by being let loose. That means part of you void some of your constitutional rights because of what you... I feel like that's how the law should be interpreted.
Because you violated someone.
Yeah.
You've broken the law.
And there's evidence against you. That's why you're saying we can't let you go out on bail because you are a threat to society.
So you shouldn't be innocent until proved guilty. In that case.
That's where the conversation starts, Jeff. It's our system. It's the common law system that we inherited, for lack of any better word. And part of the criminal justice intervention is that the presumption of innocence is part and parcel of where now we embed the right to bail and bond, that even if all of us here see me stealing Nick's phone now, we have all these eyewitnesses, yes, but you still have to be subjected to the court. You know, the evidence has to be proved. The prosecution has to prove the case without any reasonable doubt. The moment there is any doubt, that person is let loose. So maybe then we need to rethink our system.
It's important to note, in as much as we have Bill of Rights, Chapter 4 of the Constitution, it clearly states that not all rights are absolute. You get, so we are entitled to rights, but also there's also a limitation to those rights. For example, if you are entitled to the right of freedom, freedom of movement and all that, but if I arrest you and put you in jail, then that right has been limited. So basically, we should recognize that not all rights are absolute. And then at the same time, even when we are applying for bail bond, there is usually some things that the guidelines that the court looks like. For example, risk of running away, interfering with evidence, threatening witnesses. So it is not just given that when you go to court, it's automatic that you'll get the bail or bond. Now that is where the prosecution comes in, making sure that whatever argument you're putting in court, you know, it's airtight evidence, airtight, everything should be airtight from the moment of investigation, from the moment of reporting, investigation, and so forth.
Oh, so I guess that's why they say let's hold him for 21 days, 30 days.
Oh, yeah. That one comes from the provision that you cannot hold someone for more than 24 hours without presenting them to court, you know.
Okay.
So when you do present them, in the event that the charge sheet is not ready, probably because the preliminary investigations that will lead to the preferred charge have not been concluded, then now the police service is allowed to do an application to just hold you. And of course, the court can decline depending on the kind of reasons that are given. But most importantly is what Julie is saying, that in as much as bail bond is a right, it comes with a responsibility. The moment you try to bend any provisions of the bail, because the court has the discretion to give you like this, they're called conditional bail. You've had people being told to deposit their passports in court, or they've been told not to leave the territory where they are, like if you're in Nairobi, don't leave Nairobi, don't leave Kenya, or report to the police after every 2 weeks, you know. So there's a lot of circumstances that the court will look at, and we've seen cases where the suspects are actually denied bail. That is if the prosecution is able to prove that they have certain characteristics that will then taint the evidence collection process or harm witnesses or that. But the good thing is also we have witness protection.